and welcome to season 5 of my podcast. Today, my guest is Murali Ayyappan, who is a managing principal consultant at Point Security in Singapore. His company helps its customers to ensure their systems are safe. Hi, Murali. Welcome to my show.
Hi, Vedant. Thanks for having me over.
So, Murali, I'm curious to know, what does Vantage Point Security do?
Vantage Point Security helps those customers that have their applications, that have their websites or applications, make sure that their websites or applications are safe. As you know, all of the world today operates on some kind of a website or an application or a mobile application. So whoever has one such application that they want to secure, they reach out to Vantage Point and ask our expertise to make sure that their applications are good before they launch it to the public. So that's what we do. We test the applications before they are launched to the world, and to make sure that they are safe and that they don't have any issues, and that they're not easy for hackers to take over and damage the application or the website. So that's what we do. We test it before it goes live.
Do only companies need to be cyber safe? What about individuals?
We do, absolutely. Companies need to be cyber safe to protect their customers, but eventually it is you and me and your parents that use the applications, right? So we absolutely need to be cyber safe. All of the adults, everyone who uses a computer or an iPad or anything that is on the internet needs to be safe.
How do you be cyber safe?
Mostly by being aware of what it is that you should be doing. So, for example, if you are going to be on a website, say YouTube, you should know what it is that you expect to do on YouTube. If you are going to be buying from Amazon or from Lazada or someplace, you need to be sure what it is that you want to do about it, and be absolutely certain that you don't end up giving away your password to people that shouldn't be authorized. So if your mother has a requirement for your password, then it's okay. But making sure that you don't end up being tricked into giving away your credit card details or your password or your login to anyone other than the people that you are very, very close with.
Those would be like your parents, right?
Yes. In your case, yes, they'll be your parents, yes.
What are some of the common threats that exist?
Oh, some of the most common threats that exist are people trying to call you up or trying to talk to you and say and pretend as if they are there to help you, and that they know something about you and that they want to help you either win something or provide some additional something that you had not asked for. And once they have drawn you in and made sure that you are interested, then they will end up talking to you to make sure that you are tricking you to give away your details, your important details like your birth dates, your bank details, maybe your credit card details, maybe your ID, your password. So that is one of the most common threat that exists today, that people end up tricking others into giving their own passwords or important details.
Yeah, even I get lot of those phone calls, messages, and emails from people posing to be banks, health officials, and etc. Yeah. How do I identify which one of them are authentic and which ones are fake?
So if you have somebody who's trying to sell you something that you don't want, the first thing that you need to be aware of is that if you're not interested in it, and if it is not something that you're really keen to experience further, that you should stop that conversation right away. So that's the first thing. Second thing is that maybe people who may be trying to tell you that you have won a lottery or you have won something, and that in order for you to claim that lottery prize, you need to provide some more details. Now, you need to be sure that there is nobody out there who's ready to give you anything for free. So anyone who tries to tries to say that you have won something and that you have, that in order to claim it, you need to identify yourself. Those should set alarm bells going, because those kind of things never happen in real life. And lastly, there are people who will say that there was a fraudulent transaction that happened on your credit card, and that they are trying to help you make sure that that fraudulent transaction is stopped. So, if that is the case, then it is quite possible that there may be someone who is actually authentic, someone who is actually real to help you, and that may be somebody from your credit card company or your bank. So, in order to make sure that those people are legitimate, you have to, you have to make sure that they are able to give you something that is true, and then make sure that they are who they actually are. So, if they are calling from your bank, you have to make sure that you ask them enough questions and assure yourself that they are actually calling you from your bank and that they are there to help you rather than trying to scam you or trick you.
For me, the calls I mostly get, as they always say, Ministry of Health,
Yes,
COVID-19 positive or something like that.
Yes. So what? So the criminals, what they are very, very smart to do is they understand what is the mood out there, what is the thing that is most important to people around the time that they are calling. So if they are calling you around the time that it was COVID, then they will say that this is around COVID. If they had called you around New Year's Eve, for example, they will tell you about some New Year party that they are going to, that people are going to launch, people are going to have, and that they want to invite you for a party. If they were to call you around any particular holidays, maybe Diwali holidays, they will tell you that this is around something around Diwali, and that there is some store or some shopping offers that have been created purely for Diwali shoppers. So the idea is to make sure that you are interested. So at this point in time, COVID was a very big thing in the minds of the people. And so the scamsters decide to use that as the way to trick people to get their attention. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I also get these SMS saying your credit card is expired.
Right. Yes. So that is the easiest way for people to be tricked. One of the things that I told you was that people will call you to try and suggest that they are there to help you. So when you hear that your credit card is expired, people think that they cannot use their credit card for online purchases or for any store purchases anymore. And so they would like to have that renewed. And it is quite true, because credit cards expire. Credit cards come with an expiry date of 2 or 3 or 5, 4 years, depending on which bank that issues them. So around the time that the credit card actually expires, somebody from the bank will reach out to you and tell you that, hey, listen, your credit card is expiring and we need to issue you a new credit card. And that is a legitimate call. But then there are other scamsters who will use that opportunity to trick you into believing that your credit card is actually going to expire, and that they will extract your information from you. They will know what your birth date is. They will know what your current credit card number is, etc., etc. And then they will use that information to order a new credit card for themselves. And then they will charge that credit card, and you will be ending up having to pay for that.
Wow.
Yes.
Whenever I get those calls, I just press hang up.
Good. That's smart. That's very smart. That is a very safe way to make sure that you're not tricked into into doing anything that the scamsters want you to do.
And when I get those SMSs, I just press report and then I delete the contact.
That's good as well. But you have to be a little cautious when you do that, because there may be a reason for you to actually get. So, for example, if somebody tells you, "Hey, listen, your credit card is going to expire," while you have deleted it, the one thing that you may want to do is remove your credit card and actually see whether it is expiring. And if it is actually going to expire, then you need to reach out to the bank and tell them that, "Hey, listen, I know that my credit card is expiring and I want you to issue me a new credit card." So don't just blankly delete it and not do anything about it. You may want to just check your credit card to make sure that it's actually not expiring.
That's what I'm going to do from now on.
Good. Smart. That's very smart.
Can you share any tips to my listeners on how to be cyber safe?
Yes. Do what Vedant does, which is to treat every scam call or every SMS as a possible scam and ignore or delete. But then after you have done that, make sure that that the particular subject that they had called you about is actually safe. So if somebody called you to tell you that your bank account, a transaction was made on your bank account, then you need to check in after the call has been hung up. I mean, you hang up on the call, you delete that message, you go into your bank account and just check whether there was any transaction and report that to the bank if there was anything. Secondly, make sure that you don't share your IDs and passwords and personal information with anyone. So you keep that very, very safe. Don't write it down and then stick it on a post-it and then stick it, on your computer screen, because if you write your passwords down, then anyone can read it. So try and be guarded about your IDs and passwords, and always use a two-factor authentication. So two-factor authentication is when you have to log into Gmail. Have you tried logging into Gmail?
Yeah.
So the first thing that it will say is something you know. When you log into Gmail, what is the thing that you know?
That I have an email.
Yes, but then you also are expected to put your ID and your password, right?
Yeah.
So that is something you know. That is something only you should know, right? Mm-hmm. So the first authentication will be something you know. The second authentication will be that they will send an SMS to a phone number that you have registered at the time of creating that account. And if you are able to replay back that SMS back to Google will know that it is you because you have put in your ID and password. Now, anyone can put in your ID and password because it is quite possible that you have written it down somewhere and forgotten it, or you passed it on to somebody else. So the second thing that Google does to verify is send an SMS with a code to your mobile number. And once you have put that in, that's when Google knows, okay, this person has authenticated himself or herself twice. And so this is definitely that person. So what I would absolutely recommend your users to do is to not just stick to user ID and password, but to also configure your mobile phone to receive SMSs from the services that your users are going to be, your listeners are going to be using, because that is making it doubly sure that you're not getting scammed into doing something that you shouldn't be doing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
And dear listeners, please follow those tips so that you don't get scammed and lose money.
Right.
Can you tell me a few interesting incidents of security breaches that you have dealt with?
So when it is that I do, when I'm in security, when you are doing what it is that I do, it is an extremely confidential piece of information. So if I'm working for somebody and if I'm trying to help them find their vulnerabilities, before I start the project, I have to sign a legal document called a non-disclosure agreement. A non-disclosure agreement is something that stops me from talking about any of these incidents in public. Because if it was you or your business that was getting that had hired me or my team, and if I had found that your website or your application was getting hacked, would you like me to talk about it on a podcast?
No.
That is exactly the reason why I can't tell you about the work that I do, because I am bound by these non-disclosure agreements. But I can tell you, without giving any names, of some incidents where when I was in India, I was trying to help a bank that was getting hacked. And after we did our analysis, we found out that the place where the hacker originated was from a neighboring country who was hostile to India and wanted to try and hack that bank and try and steal money from that bank. So we realized that was someone bad who was from a neighboring country, and we found out where it is that the person was trying to get in from, and we stopped that person. So it took us all through the night. Me and my team sat through about 26 to 30 hours at a stretch to find what was going on. And that is the thing. So the bad guys, they can sit on that particular bank website and research it and work on it for 1 year before they are able to hack it. But in our case, we have to keep doing this for many. It's not possible for us to spend all our time and attention on just one website, right? Because we have so many things to guard. So whenever an incident like that happens, it is quite intense. It is quite it takes a lot of time to make sure that we are able to find where the problem is and try and fix whatever it is that the hacker had used to try to get in. So yes, in that occasion, it did take us a long time. We sat through the night, but we were helped by the people in the bank, and they were very keen to help us as well. Eventually, we found it, we fixed it, and we stopped some very big amounts, or the bank itself being embarrassed by the hack or people losing money from it.
That's so nice.
Yes.
It sounds like such a fun job, right?
Yes, it is. It is. It is a fun job because the best part of it is that a particular project or a bank or anybody that has spent a lot of time in creating a website or a bank or an application for their users, they have spent a lot of time doing it. So there are so many bad guys out there whose job, that is all they do. They try to embarrass these applications or embarrass the people who made these applications and hack them. So what we do is we test them before they go live, as I said before, and this prevents the bad guys from actually doing anything, from causing any harm. So when we have done our job and when we have told the people who are launching the website or the app that, hey, listen, these are the things that we found that are vulnerable, these are the things that are weak, and you need to strengthen them, they are very happy, because they realize that if they had not hired us and if they had gone ahead and launched it, it is quite possible that those weaknesses would have been targeted by the bad guys and that they may be hacked. And that would be, that would leave the entire team very embarrassed. And they had spent a lot of time and hard work in making sure that it was a good service or a good application, and they were prevented from being embarrassed. So that is something that is very fulfilling, because they thank us a lot when we find things that the weaknesses in their application, and then they try and fix it. So yeah, it is quite fulfilling, but yeah, it's fun as well.
How did you get into dealing with cybersecurity issues? What did you want to be as a child?
Oh, as a child, I had nothing to do with computers. I wanted to be an airline pilot. And as I matured and I became older and I went into college, I realized that computers were more interesting. Well, I got drawn into computers using the first thing that I knew about computers, which was computer games. And from then on, uh, after some point, you become more curious and you go ahead beyond the games and try and see what else is there. And then I started learning more and more about computers. And so there are two kinds of people in the computer world. There are people who build an application, and then there are people who test the application. So as it turns out, I somehow during the course of my career reached a point where I could be value adding or adding some using my skills to prevent bad guys from getting access or control or using the weaknesses for other people's websites and applications. So that's how I kind of arrived at this, because there was at one point in time I worked for a company which had no other people who were ready to do that job, and I just happened to volunteer for it and say, hey, listen, yes, this seems like something that I would like to do, because I was effectively going to be the policeman within that organization. Nobody really wanted to be the policeman because it's a hard job. So I volunteered to do that, and from then on, I got interested and then learned more about it and then got more opportunities. And that's how I came into cybersecurity. And now I've spent about 15 years doing it.
Wow, that's a lot of years.
Yes.
What are your hobbies?
I like to play tennis. I like to play football. And those are the things that I like to do. But other than that, I watch my children play football as well, and I like to teach them things. I like to spend time with them. I like to play football with them. I like to do other things as well. We play some video games as well. So those are the things that I do. But yeah, the one thing that I specifically am very keen about is tennis for myself.
Yeah, I've played tennis once or twice. It's really fun.
Yes, it is. It is fun. Yes. We should do this together sometime then.
Yeah, but I don't really know much about it. I've only played it like once or twice.
Yeah, well, you're just 9 years old, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it takes quite some time to keep practicing and learning something. And in order for you to become an expert, you have to keep doing it over and over, and eventually you'll get better at it. Yes.
Yeah.
So don't let the fact that you are new at something stop you from trying to do it more and more, because if the more you do it, the better you're going to get at it.
Yeah, that's true. Thank you so much for coming on my show.
It's a pleasure, Vedant. I hope that I have been able to get you interested, or that you have heard something from me about cybersecurity that was interesting. You're doing a great job. Over 100 plus people that you have interviewed right now. We are going to take some time and try and listen to as many of those as we can.
Oh, thank you.
And learn a lot from those as well. So great job that you're doing. Keep it up.
Thank you. Yeah, I also learned a lot during this interview.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Dear listeners, follow my Facebook page, Curious Vedant, to get updates on my upcoming episodes. To listen at leisure on your phone and get notified about future episodes, subscribe by searching for Curious Vedant wherever you get your podcasts, such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, and many more. You can also listen to my show on CuriousVedant.com. Thank you for listening to Curious Vedan.